Welcome to the Cool Tools Show. I'm Mark Frauenfelder, Editor-in-Chief of Cool Tools, a website of tool recommendations written by our readers. You can find us at cool-tools.org. I'm joined by my co-host, Kevin Kelly, founder of Cool Tools. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, it's great to be here.
In each episode of the Cool Tools Show, Kevin and I talk to a guest about some of his or her favorite uncommon and uncommonly good tools they think others should know about. Our guest this week is Mack Reed. Mack is a veteran startup technologist, recovering journalist, builder of musical instruments, burner, and hopelessly hacky maker who wouldn't know a close tolerance unless he got his fingers caught in it, which has happened more than once. And that has happened to me too as well. How are you doing, Mack?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Mark. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're so delighted you're joining us, and can't wait to hear what you have in store to tell us about.
All right, very sweet. I'm very happy to be here, guys.
Yeah, me too. And so, Mack, I've known you for quite a while. We have a mutual friend, Corey Doctorow, have had a lot of fun hanging out together. And I thought it'd be great to have you on the show. So why don't you first tell us about the Benchmade Barrage assisted opening pocket knife?
Right. So this is, I've had pocket knives since I think my dad gave me one when I was probably 8. And it was a little sort of one of those mock horn handle things with a little flat blade. You'd open it up and sort of whittle with it, and that was it. And until I found this knife, I just sort of went through a succession of knives. Some of them wouldn't open well enough. Some of them would get gummed up very easily. Some of them wouldn't keep an edge, or they'd be flimsy. And I just wanted something that I could carry that would do all the stupid things you do with knives, which is like cutting open packages and slicing ropes and cleaning off battery terminals and picking your teeth at 90 miles an hour. And I'm not exaggerating. My wife still just shudders every time I do that. It's the cleanest tool I have, and I got something in my teeth, man. But it's assisted, what's it called? Assisted opening. It's not actually legal to possess in some states, New York being among them. I just left New York. It's about a 2-inch blade. It's carbon steel. There's a name on it, Osborne. It's an Osborne blade. 164 centimeters says the marking, and it's got a black molded handle and a nice clip. And the fun thing about it is the lock mechanism is two-sided. There are buttons on either side of the knife near the hinge that allow you to close it with a thumb, no matter whether you're right or left-handed, and put it away. And when you go to open it, you move the stud just a tiny bit, and it flicks open. It's very threatening looking, but it's great to have when you've got one hand full of something you need to cut, and you've got one other hand to work with. It's like, I need to cut this thing now because something horrible is going to happen if I don't. Right. So it's great to have this thing at hand.
So you have directed us to a particular one. I think it's maybe called the Barrage or something. But this maker, they have a bunch of other slightly different models. Is this one superior to them for some reason, or are all they kind of roughly depending on your budget?
I don't know. I don't know for a fact. I know Benchmade makes really good blades. I looked at a bunch of them when I bought this. I was actually in a knife store in Alaska and had been looking for another assisted opening. When I had a Kershaw earlier, Kershaw is sort of one level down in terms of quality and build quality and finish. And I'd looked at some of the more expensive ones. The Spydercos are a little more expensive. And it's like, you know what? I could just afford this. This will be great. I tried it out a bunch and just fell in love with it. And I have not regretted it since. I think I bought it like 3 years ago. And it's been a very, very good tool.
How much did you pay for it?
I think they retail for like $175. This one was on. It was used. Didn't have a mark on it, but it was used, and it was $85. And I thought, well, that's a deal.
Yeah.
I like that you bought it used. You bought it at like a store that sells used knives.
Yeah. I guess people. I don't know, man. I guess they get tired of one knife and want to move on to another, or they're just swapping them like they swap socks.
Is there a store for used knives or a marketplace, or where did you actually find a used knife?
Yeah, there was a store in Alaska. I'm simply not going to remember the name.
Oh, I mean, it's actually a physical store where you walk
in. Yeah.
Okay.
You walk in, they have glass counters. Yeah, no, I'm sure there are aficionado sites and trading posts. You can find used knives on obviously eBay and Craigslist and that kind of thing. But if you're buying a tool that's as important as a pocket knife, you really want to hold it, I think, unless you've already obviously tested it in the store.
Right, that's a good idea. Yeah. Well, anyway, it sounds like this company, Benchmade, has a number of very kind of similar models and blades. So you might want to just seek that out and then try to find one that would fit your hand or whatever.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of customization. You can actually, I think, on the Benchmade website now, you can customize it to have, blue hardware and Damascus blade and all kinds of handles and grips and things. Have at it.
Right. And we should say, of course, that this is not TSA compliant.
This is most definitely not. It's not TSA compliant, and you will get arrested and have it taken away from you if you're so foolish as to get caught possessing it in New York and other states.
Oh, so even if you're walking around the streets of New York and you have this in your pocket, it's like not.
It's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Crazy.
What about California?
Assisted opening. I don't know what California's laws are on assisted opening.
Huh.
It's tantamount to a switchblade. I'll open it now and you can hear it, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sounds really
We're going to arrest you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, lots of luck. I'm many miles away from you guys.
Okay, well, this is a great one. Thank you. That was really nice. I carry around my 99-cent plastic box cutter all the time, and this would be a step up, I guess.
Yeah, and it may be it may be a blunderbuss for a mosquito in many cases, but I love it.
Okay, and what's the second tool that you have for us? An app, I think.
Yeah. There's a drawing app which is available on iPad. I don't know if it's available on Android, but it's called Paper, and it's by the company WeTransfer. And it's just an extremely simple drawing app. There's obviously you have the things are arranged in sketchbooks. You can create a new sketch for a new sketchbook. You can customize the cover of the sketchbook if you want. You change the title and that kind of thing. And then when you go to the drawing surface, you have a really simple palette, and the tools range from there's a pen, a pencil, a marker, an ink pen, and then this really nifty tool that the name of which is escaping me, but allows you to draw shapes. And if you can roughly draw a circle, like really roughly, it'll render it as a pretty perfect circle, or a triangle, or a trapezoid. It does really nicely with shapes. And these shapes you can then move around if you need to. So it's very good for drawing flow diagrams, which in my line of work in product development, product ideation is really helpful. But the drawing tools with it, the pen and the pencil and so forth, make it a pretty good illustration tool. And I'm not an illustrator. I've seen some amazing stuff that people have done with this app. But I found it really useful for just drawing sketches, sketching out instruments that I'm building, sketching, what's the backyard going to look like if we redo it, that kind of thing.
So I have become this year a recent convert to Procreate on the iPad, and I'm making art every day using Procreate, which it sounds very similar. I don't know this one. So are you familiar with this, and how would that compare to Procreate?
I am, Kevin, and I've seen your work on Procreate. You drew you posted an apple on Instagram recently that was, right. I had to look at it twice because it was pretty photoreal.
That's so cool.
It's really, really
Kevin,
nice.
You're getting really good.
Yeah, well, you do it every day. That's what happens. So
10,000 hours, right?
So yeah, exactly. So how does it compare to Procreate? Is it kind of like a simpler form? I mean, Procreate's only $10, so it can't be any cheaper.
Yeah, I think Paper has a subscription model, and again, it's going to escape me what the model is. I think it's like $11 for 6 months or something, which gives you access to some of the more subtle tools. But I think Procreate is probably more powerful in terms of the number of tools you have, the flexibility and the adjustability of each, and the subtlety of the palette. But it's also much more complicated. I tried Procreate a few times and a couple of other drawing tools, and I was just kind of flustered by it. It was a little too difficult.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, paper's just dead simple, which is probably not good enough for people that are drawing and painting every day and want to do high art. But it's great for, again, sketching ideas, making notes, roughing out designs for things. I've really found it very helpful.
Okay. And so if you want to actually send the drawing to someone or email it or print it out,
export
does
it
have the tools for that? Yeah.
Export. Yeah, by all means. Yeah, you can export it to a file. You can share from the app. The other thing that's nice is you can actually import a photo into it as a layer and then draw on the photo, shape it. There's a cutting tool where you can cut out shapes, move them around, reposition them. You can cut and paste from the pro version lets you cut and paste from one drawing to another. So it's got some really basic sort of multi-layer functionality to it.
It sounds super useful.
Yeah, it's a nice app. I like it quite a bit, and it's really pleasant to work with. After you've been using it for a while, you get pretty fluid with it, and it's comfortable. It's an old friend.
Yeah, that sounds great. So it's just called Paper.
Paper by WeTransfer. There's a bunch of other things called Paper on the App Store, but if you look up Paper by WeTransfer, you'll find it. And it plays nicely with the iPad Pencil as well, if you have an iPad Pro.
Cool. That sounds good. Well, thanks. So tell us about the next one. It's a camping mattress.
Yes. So Thermarest, I think for many years has made inflatable camping mattresses. And this particular model, the Basecamp is the most recent one. I don't know if I even have the Basecamp model, but it looked like the most similar one compared to the website. And the reason I say I don't know is because I've had this thing for 20 years plus. So the Basecamp is sort of an inflatable envelope. But it's not like the usual blow up mattress. It's not sort of like 6 inches thick and has little fake coils in it. It's fully inflated, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick. And there's a little screw valve at one end. You open it up, you blow into it. And it actually, because of the way it's constructed inside, it has cells that sort of run vertically between the top surface and the bottom surface that automatically expand as you open it and allow air to enter it. So it self-inflates to some extent. And then you can blow it up and adjust the firmness by how much air is in it. The great thing is that when you're done with it, you unscrew the valve, you roll it up tightly, and it compresses down to about, probably 24 inches by maybe 6, 7 in diameter. And you can strap it to the back of the backpack or shove it in your car trunk. And it's really actually pretty comfortable. It keeps the cold away, and it's just enough air. And if you let a little air out, it's supple enough that you never feel there's ground under you. You're pretty much floating on it the whole time.
Right. So nice. It's sort of like a hybrid between those little accordion foam pads and an air mattress, a full-blown air mattress. So this is sort of like something in between where it has some of the virtues of both.
Yeah. And the nice thing, have you ever had an air mattress that you had to blow up with a blower?
Yeah.
So take that out of the equation.
We've had Thermarest for 25 years, and here's something that I didn't know. Inside them is a kind of a foam core that does the kind of self-reinflating. And our Thermarests are so old, 25 years, that they actually the seams on the outside envelope have burst.
Oh, wow.
But it's still useful because
does it hold air?
Well, because there's foam, and so it becomes kind of a thin foam mattress, and so even in kind of a weird broken form, we still use them. They're not as good.
That's amazing,
but they're useful. So even in the failure mode, they still work.
Yeah. It's like the run flat tires of camping mattresses.
Yes, exactly.
And they're useful as hell, honestly. I punctured one once. I actually managed to puncture one. I was at a bar camp event. And Mark, I don't know if you ever went to Bar Camp LA back in the early aughts, but
no, I haven't. But I know
it was sort of an unconference that would take place, and people would show up in a bar and do talks on this and that, and you'd sleep in the bar overnight, and there'd be another session in the morning. And there was a nail sticking out of the floor, and I finally traced my mattress getting crappy and feeling thin to that nail. You can order a patch kit from Thermarest, and it goes on pretty much like a bicycle patch. There's an adhesive, and the patch, you let the adhesive cure a bit and slap the patch on and leave it alone for about an hour, and it's good as new. Yeah. And I patched this thing once, and it's never lost air since. So it's a really great tool.
And how much do they go for? What's the approximate price here?
They range from $80 to $130.
Okay.
I got the extra large, or I think I got the large. It's long. It's like 7 feet long, so you can, rest your arms behind your head kind of thing without hitting the floor.
Yeah, and I also would say that this is for kind of like car camping. This is not ideal for backpacking. If I had to carry this over, up and down, I would use one of those accordion foam pads because they're lighter. But this is perfect for kind of car camping kind of stuff.
Totally that. Do you like the foam pads, Kevin?
The foldable ones, the accordion ones.
Yeah.
That's what I use when I have to backpack. It's for me, it's the lightest, best for that kind of trade off. I don't know, but that's been at least 10 years since they've even looked at what's available. I don't know if there's something better than that, but the accordion foam ones are the ones that I use when I have to backpack.
Oh, I'll have to try that next time I backpack.
Yeah, they're adequate enough, and they're much, much lighter, and they're a little smaller that you can put it onto your backpack much easier.
Yeah.
And I use it for biking too when we're bike touring overnight. Strap those accordion ones. So anyway, this is Thermarest, or legendary, old-timery, old school kind of sleeping bag. Yeah, a sleeping pad.
Is that what you use at Burning Man, Mac?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I use too. Yeah, I use them. In fact, I this is a Burning Man thing, but I would not even bring my tents. I would just lay out my Thermarest out on the playa in the walk-in camp area, and and I would just lay it right on the playa and lay on it and Thermarest. Yep. It's dusty as anything. You can look at mine and you can say they've been to Burning Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say you wake up with your facial in the morning. It's quite attractive, right?
Exactly. So Mac, let's talk about your another fourth one here, the cordless drills.
Yeah. So DeWalt makes a ridiculous line of tools. They're, batteries have been getting better and better and better over the years. And the last one finally bit the dust. I think I burned it out probably 6-7 years into its life, and I abused the hell out of them. And I keep buying them because they really stand up over time. So this is the one I got probably about a year and a half ago, was the DeWalt Atomic brushless cordless drill, and it comes with an impact driver in the combo that I bought. So you got these two tools in a little zippy fabric bag. I think it's like ripstop nylon, and they're variable speed. The batteries are pretty small, pretty light, and it's a 20-volt battery, so it's got a ridiculous amount of torque. You can put a half-inch drill through a 2x4 in about 6 seconds with a little bit of extra pressure. And I just finished, we just moved to Seattle into a house that's new to us anyway. It's an old house. And I just finished stripping the front steps with this drill and a wire stripper, a wire brush stripper head. And I think it's 10 steps. The steps are ridiculous. They're like 8-inch treads. Who makes steps that shallow anymore? I don't know. They're treacherous. I'm gonna fall down them one day. But strip them off in the space of about, there are 10 steps. I stripped them off in about, an hour and a half. I think I changed batteries maybe 5 times, maybe 6 times. So that's an indication of, how long the battery, and that was continuous operation, me running a stripper head on this thing. which is probably not what it's designed for. But it's like all of our stuff the moving van hasn't arrived yet. My ancient craftsman plug-in drill isn't here, so I'll use the battery one.
Did it get hot, the drill?
Not especially. No.
Yeah.
It was
nice.
Heated up a little.
Yeah, I have the 18-volt version of both of those, and they are, they're just, I wouldn't say indestructible, but I certainly have seen no wear over the many years I've been using them. The other thing that I do is you can get little adapters to buy extra batteries that are the third-party, non-DeWalt kind of batteries.
They haven't DRM'd their batteries like everybody else has their
right, exactly. Because I, you want to have extra batteries. You can't really have too many batteries going, but you can get adapters. But anyway, these DeWalt tools are really great, fantastic.
That's cool. So you can plug like a Makita battery into it or a Milwaukee battery.
You can.
Oh, neat.
Just look under, battery adapters, and you can go from A to Z, Z to B, T to W, all this, any combination you can imagine.
That's cool. It's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find this thing indestructible and indispensable. So stripping steps, I built a bunch of instruments using it, cajones and marimbas. I built a road case I have a 1902 Deegan marimba. It's a 3.5 octave marimba. It's a beautiful old instrument. And I knew we'd be moving. And I built a road case for it out of, this is a sub-cool tool. There's a company called DIYroadcases.com, and you can order the aluminum frame parts and the casters and the latches, everything you need, except for the plywood, obviously, to build like a Led Zeppelin quality road case for anything of any size.
Road case. What's a road case?
Yeah, a case for carrying equipment, right? The kind of thing with the big heavy chrome latches.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe like a plywood box outside. The roadies would kind of maybe sometimes be on casters for their equipment.
Right. Yeah, with casters and with bumper corner, steel corners on them, so the face of the box never touches anything. It just rests on the steel corners. Mm-hmm. And you can you kick the hell out of these things. And anyway, I used the drill to build one of these things for the marimba. The box is probably 5 feet by 2.5 by 10 inches. And it's solid stuff. Anyway, the road case parts you can find DIYroadcases.com. And I'm not shilling for them. I just want you to know that here's this cool thing. You can, if you want to build a case for your Fender Stratocaster or your DJ mix panel or whatever, that's the place to go.
Okay, that's a great DIY
DIYroadcases.com.
Okay, fantastic. So you have a little bit kind of a bonus suggestion here. Maybe something that might be you have to kind of go to Craigslist or somewhere to find it. Tell us about your drill press.
Oh yeah. So at some point we're at the Mexican swap meet in Los Angeles at the LA City College. It's wonderful. It's just all these vendors come out and people.
What's it called? Mexican swap meet.
It's all Mexican vendors. They're all Mexican American Angelinos. And they're selling everything from shaved ice to hair barrettes to sound systems to used tools. It's a swap meet, and it's just sort of whatever's on sale. And the tool places always have stuff that's been pretty badly thrashed, like you don't want to use it. But I found a drill press there once, and I needed it for this crazy project I got into for $60, and it's just a big, stupid machine. It's got pulleys on the top so you can adjust the speed of the drill. It's a belt-driven thing, and I can't remember what the throw distance is, but you can mount up to a half-inch bit into it. And I built my mutant vehicle Xylo van with this thing. which involved making xylophones out of 3-inch by half-inch aluminum bar stock, recycled aluminum. And when you got to drill through 84 pieces of metal like that, you want something that's just not going to quit. And this drill press that I got, Chinese-made, no-name drill press, for $60, just never quit on me. It was fantastic.
So yeah, Chinese these days, when you say Chinese tools, that's a pretty broad thing because most everything, including the DeWalt's, are probably Chinese tools. Yeah. I recently had kind of a no-name, probably Chinese tool, and I upgraded to a brand named Chinese tools, a Wen.
Wen, right?
Yeah, and I'm completely enamored of that because here's the thing: it was a variable speed. With one lever, and you didn't have to change the pulleys. You just had to move the lever. And,
nice.
I know.
A drill press?
Yes. A drill press with a completely variable speed without having to change the pulleys. It has something like a clutch or something that does it. So that was a Chinese thing, and man, that's really been really great. It's not the kind of what you described as kind of like there's a motor, a big motor and pulleys, and this is monster motor, and it's just going to drill, and that's all it's going to do.
Yeah. Well, your thing sounds very slick. That's nice.
Yeah.
What do you make with it?
Oh, I use it in my shop for I'm making a railway around the perimeter of my studio.
Great.
So I'm drilling the metal supports to hang it from the roof, from the ceiling.
Oh, what fun! What gauge railway is it?
027. Basically, it's O gauge. It's like a Lionel. So it's like in fact, it is my set of railway trains that I was given to me by my dad when I was 10. And it's I have the same. I still have them.
The same. So that's neat, Kevin.
I still have them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just to say, my dad gave me trains at that age too, and they were Lionels, and he built a bunch of buildings for them, and I still have them. That's beautiful.
Speaking of train sets, have you ever seen Rod Stewart's train set?
Yes, I know. It's insane.
It's unbelievable.
But here's the thing: I tried to do some research on it. It was like, did he actually build it himself, or did he just hire someone to build it? I was trying to figure that out because
I think he did build it himself.
If he actually did that, I would just be floored because that is such an immense amount of work. But I thought that maybe he was just kind of like, hired out a lot of that. I don't know. So I would like to know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did it himself. It looks like a fictional mid-sized city like Pittsburgh in the 30s or something. And when you see a photo, you think it's a city until you see Rod Stewart's head, like 6 stories tall.
Yeah, no, he was. I was somewhat inspired by the little town that I built. I have right above my house, right above my desk right here. I built a town that has 15 or so buildings in it. On the same, about the same scale, and that was some of the inspiration for me to build this town here. And so I know how much work it was to do the whole city. Oh my gosh!
What building do you think you spent almost too much time on, but you're really proud of it?
Oh, none of them were too much time on it. But my favorite building is one where I put a billboard. They painted on the side of the brick. They had kind of like they would use these for signs, like advertising signs. And so making the advertising sign and getting that right was a project in itself because I used something where I designed the sign and then I would print it out and then I transferred it to the side of the brick building in a way so that it looked like it had been there and old and kind of faded in some ways, and that that really looks cool.
Wow, that's neat.
So tell us about what if people want to follow you. What are you up to these days? What do you want people to know?
Yeah, let me see. I was in startups for a long time, very unprofitably, and decided to walk away from it. Moved to New York. Wound up getting into mutual aid work because the lockdown happened and it was hard to network my way to whatever the next big thing was. So I worked in mutual aid in New York City for 14 months and came to understand just how many people were already living close to the brink. And when the economy changed, they were pushed over the brink. There are a lot of folks in New York who are still without homes and still struggling for the next meal. And the mutual aid organizations I was working with just strove to help them. They would buy groceries, help distribute food, help people find housing, help them with getting vaccine appointments, that kind of thing. And it was really super rewarding work. And we made the decision after a while to leave New York just because it was too expensive. We couldn't afford to be there any longer, and moved to Seattle. And right about the same time, another startup, the guy I worked with for many years, called me in, and we talked for a while, and I wound up taking a job with them full time. So I'm working with Clipper, CLIPR.ai. It's a video analysis and management platform that basically analyzes video, uses AI to detect speech patterns and syntax and identify the topics that are being talked about, so that it then indexes everything in a video and will help you find anything through search and help identify different parts of a meeting, for instance, where the introduction is, where the pitch statement is, that kind of thing. So it's a really exciting company to be working in, doing that, and just really looking forward to getting our house in Seattle set up so I can get back to building musical instruments, because that's my passion. Really,
wow.
Have some crazy ideas and want to start playing with them.
That's cool. We need some more crazy. Yeah, we need more crazy musical instruments.
Yeah, we'll have links to your social media so that people can see the kind of stuff that you are working on. Mack, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Totally my pleasure, Mark. Thank you both. I've really had fun talking with you guys.
Hey everybody, it's your co-host Mark, and I wanted to let you know that we have a lot more going on here in Cool Tools than just this podcast. We have our flagship website where we review a new tool every day. That's at cool-tools.org. We also have 4 different newsletters. We have this podcast. We have a YouTube channel where we review tools. And if you like what you hear and see and read, the best way to help us out is by going to our Patreon page at patreon.com/cooltools and donate at any level you wish. You can even contribute $1 a month, and that would mean a lot to us. The money that you give us will go towards paying for our transcribing costs, editing videos, and editing the podcast. It goes towards paying contributors who write the reviews for us. It goes towards our equipment costs, our hosting costs, and it supports our very small company of 3 people. This week, I wanted to give a shout out to some of our Patreon supporters who have been giving us at least $2 a month. And if you give us $2 a month, we'll give you a shout out online. And this week, I would like to thank Michael Sakochia, Molly Starr, M. Velderman, Opposable Thumbs, Pamela Cooley, Patrick Weyer, Paul Hosey, Randy Fisher, Stewart Burroughs Brand, Synaptic Sam, Therese Schwartz, Tom Hawkins, Tom Markham, What Bear, Javier Pangolin, David Lang, Eric Byers, Sean Hartley, Stephen Powell, Greg Lichtscheit, John Hobson, Adam Bristol, Adam Naher, Anonymous, Bill Kempthorne, Bruce I. Niles, Chris Woodruff, C. Kolos, Daryl Flynn, Egg Fleegoff, Eric Hanschrau, Eric Hoover, Godfrey Saldana, Jay Skiles, John M. Larson, Jude Galligan, Kenneth Gilman, and Lucas Frank. Thank you very much for supporting the show, and we will see you next week.